Thank you very much, Russell. It's wonderful to be here, Your Excellencies. I was, as you know, today is my day number 221, if you've been counting. I was in Davos and I was speaking with a group of Vice-Chancellor, and I told them it's my day number 206. And the Vice-Chancellor of Oxford said, "Kgethi, how many hours?" So today I counted the hours as well. We are on 8 hours. It's probably 8 hours, maybe 20 minutes. We are not at seconds yet, but this is how new it is. I took office on the 1st of July, 2018, and so it's an honor to host you at this breakfast that happens every year. And I was, when you're new in office and you're an academic like myself, they teach you sort of the rules. Of course, they teach you the rules with the caveat that academics generally don't obey the rules, you know. Their role is to push the boundaries. So, but they still taught me this one, and I want to practice it. Your Excellencies, good morning, all protocol observed. Let me start by introducing my colleagues in the executive, because we are a fairly new executive. Many of you would have met Dr. Max Price, who retired at the end of June 2018. And you might have seen the team that he worked with. Actually, we have a very new team, and so I want to introduce them. I see them around. Associate Professor Liz Lange is here. Liz, if you can just stand. This is just to make sure that if you don't believe me, who do you ask? And this is Professor Liz Lange. She's a Deputy Vice-Chancellor for Teaching and Learning. You'll hear from her accent that she's from Argentina, but she is South African, ladies and gentlemen. So no claim, the ambassador of Argentina, please relax. She's South African, is in charge of teaching and learning. And I like saying that Liz is the senior citizen in the leadership. I mean, that just gives you a sense. But I'm not calculating the average age, but she's the senior citizenship. That gives you a sense of the leadership of UCT at the moment. Liz, thank you very much for joining us. And then we've got, yes, Professor Loretta Ferris is a Deputy Vice-Chancellor for Transformation. She's also in charge of Student Affairs. And Professor Ferris joined the executive in 2018. It was your first year. 17. Okay, so she's had 2017, so it was the last of Max's appointments in the executive. She's originally from the Northern Cape, right? But she's been here in the Western Cape for a while, and we're delighted to have her as a member of the executive. I didn't tell you that Liz started in 2018. Liz Lange started in 2018, and Loretta started in 2017. I saw, okay, you can clap for Professor Ferris. Otherwise, you're creating problems for me when we go back. I have to explain why did you clap for one and not the other. I didn't see, we've got an acting Deputy Vice-Chancellor for Research and Internationalization, Professor Kevin Naidu. Kevin is a computer scientist. I didn't tell you what the other people are. Les is a historian. Loretta is a professor of law. And Kevin Naidu is a professor of computer science. And he's not here this morning. He's acting as Deputy Vice-Chancellor. And we've got Dr. Reno Mora, who's a COO, yes. Reno joined us last year. He actually just taken his position. He joined, he was appointed last year, but he took office the beginning of this year as COO after serving as the Deputy Dean of the Faculty of Health Sciences for many years. And Reno is here now as COO. We are very fortunate to have a COO who's also an academically inclined, has worked in the faculty, and he's here with us. You can clap for Reno, thank you. That's where I stop with the introductions. Let me also say our manager for global visibility and partnerships is somewhere in the audience. I don't know where she is. But I've been telling everyone, oh, here she is, yeah. I've been telling everyone that in time, she will make sure that her business card is on your table. So that after this, we have made a lot of agreements as we were taking pictures about the checks you will sign and all of that. So she will leave a business card and you can get in contact with us, because we are interested in having collaborations with some of you, with many of your countries. We have relationships, and if there's anything that you want to discuss with us regarding our partnerships moving forward, Caroline would be the right person. And thank you to the colleagues in our Department of Development and Alumni Affairs for organizing this. As I told you, I took office on the 1st of July in 2018, and it has been a roller coaster ride. Everyone says this is a tough job, and hey, it is a tough job, but a worthwhile job to do. It is a huge opportunity to make a difference, not only in the lives of young people, their families, and our society, but also an opportunity to mobilize African creativity to help solve global problems. And that's what we do at this university. So when you see the challenges that we face in higher education, the challenges are there. And of course, in the last 4 years, there's been lots of challenges in higher education. Not only, I mean, people think it's only in South Africa, but there's similar challenges elsewhere in the world. They just manifest themselves differently. But we as a university believe that our role as UCT, at the moment being the leading university on the continent, we have a huge role to play despite the challenges that are around us. But how do we plan to mobilize African creativity to help solve global problems? I'm not going to go into what those problems are. Many of us know them. But I just want to say our challenge is to, how do we do that during these times of rapid change, of uncertainty, of unrest, not only in higher education, but also in the world with global migration and increasing polarization in the world that we live in today. How do we do that? That's our greatest challenge. And our vision is to secure a sustainable future for UCT, for our society, and our world. And this vision is centered around 3 pillars. And the pillars are excellence, transformation, and sustainability. These are the 3 pillars that hold up our hope, not only for our university, but for our country, our society, and our world. And I always, when I talk about the 3 pillars, I start with excellence. Because actually, we as a university are a place of excellence. We are a place of excellence because we recognize the importance of excellence. And as a new Vice-Chancellor, it's always important for me to say to our staff and our students that as we move forward, even with all the challenges and changes that we're facing, excellence will remain a non-negotiable. We will continue to drive it, to recognize it, to grow it, and make it visible. Because we think this world needs it. But we do that also recognizing the complexity of excellence, that excellence doesn't happen on its own. Excellence is always enabled. And so when we look back, we say, you know, we've been the top university on the continent for many years. We've been one of the top 200 universities in the world. Why is it that even with that, we hit the challenges that we faced in 2015 with Roads Must Fall, with 2016 with Fees Must Fall? Why did they affect us in the way that we did? And that moment actually highlights the fact that excellence is not innocent. Excellence is not benign. Excellence is complex. It can marginalize, it can silence, it can invisibilize. It can actually make other people feel irrelevant in their place. And so we, as we drive excellence, we want to drive excellence recognizing its complexity and recognizing that its complexity emerges from the fact that it never happens on its own. The fact that when we call up excellence today in the world, it shows up mainly as male and white. It's not a mistake. It's because it's been enabled that way. Our world functions that way. And so for us as a university, the challenge is, so how are we going to make sure that our excellence shows up differently? How are we going to make sure that our diversity shows up in our excellence? And that's why the second pillar is important, the pillar of transformation. And that pillar of transformation is one that says, well, if we're going to pursue excellence on its own, then that excellence will not be sustainable. It will always be in conflict. It will be challenged. It will be rubbished, almost destroyed, if we pursue excellence without transformation. So excellence is not sustainable without transformation. Transformation is key to our agenda of excellence. And so transformation is that second pillar in the middle that enables us to do that which we love as a university, to become that which we want to become, an outstanding university, a leading university in the continent, and a leading university for the continent. That's why transformation is in the middle. And transformation, oftentimes when we hear debates on transformation in our country, they're mainly about employment equity. How many women professors do you have there? How many black? How many so and so? And that's important. But we're saying transformation is not just about equity of access. It's also about equity of participation and equity of success. And so our challenge moving forward is going to be, how do we make sure that transformation at UCT shows up also at the level of equity of participation and equity of success? Because we've made progress when it comes to making sure that we create access for students from low socioeconomic backgrounds and from designated groups. If you listen to my interview recently, which I did on ENCA, I talked about how we as a university, besides the support that students with a total family income of 350,000 rands get support from government, we have extended the support to students who come from families that earn up to 600,000 per annum, even though government doesn't give them. And we give them full support. And we do that because we recognize that if you have kids at university, it's expensive even if you have 600,000 rands per annum in the family. We deny ourselves goodies as a university leadership to make sure that we open the gates for more students from low socioeconomic backgrounds. But that's not enough. That's just equity of access. Our challenge is what we do to make sure that people feel that the university is theirs. And so if we make institution accessible, then we should also be open to the idea that the institution itself will change as a result of the diversity of people we have in the space. And changing is not always bad. It doesn't mean the standards go down. It doesn't mean we don't understand excellence anymore. That's not what it is. It just means the culture of the institution, the feel of the institution, and everyone feels that they're welcome. They don't have to assimilate to be acceptable or to be excellent or to achieve greatness. They can achieve greatness with their complexion, with their culture, as long as they're focusing on their academic project. So transformation for us at UCT, as we move forward, is not just about employment equity and making UCT accessible to talented students from designated groups and low socioeconomic backgrounds, but it is an opportunity to diversify our excellence. It's an opportunity for us to create a space to become even better than we've been before. In a diverse world such as this one that we live in, excellence should never have the same gender, just one race or socioeconomic background. If excellence only shows up in that way, then we should know that it will never be sustainable, not only at UCT, but anywhere in the world. And we do this, we drive excellence in this way, transformation in this way, because we are all for transformation with integrity. We don't believe that you bring people into the space simply because of their complexion. We bring them into the space because we see the talent. That talent might not have been supported before. It might not have been focused, or we might not have focused on its growth before. But we are saying in this space, we're going to create an environment where that talent can thrive. So we are doing that because we are interested in sustainability. I say to Professor Ferris, I'm not even interested in what the Minister of Labour wants and the documents that we have to submit to the Department of Labour for employment equity. That's not my obsession. I want us to drive excellence I want us to drive transformation because it's going to make us even more excellent than we have been before. And that's because we are committed to our sustainability. And our sustainability is not just about financial sustainability, which is important. It's not just about environmental sustainability. Of course, we focus also on the Sustainable Development Goals. We've done an analysis of our research. Actually, in each of the Sustainable Development Goals, we show up strongly. I say to colleagues all the time, and my predecessor said it before, it is as if we wrote the Sustainable Development Goals. Of course, our colleagues were involved. But our research responds to all those challenges. But sustainability is also about our institutional ecology. We recognize that our success as an institution is not just for us as a university, but it's important for our country and our continent. The work that we do, the students that we teach and we graduate, go out in our world. They are the ones who become leaders. They shape what this country and the continent becomes. And so we take our task that seriously, that it goes beyond what we do here. And that's why sustainability is key for us in that way. Just 3 themes that under this vision that's held by the 3 pillars. We do it by 3 so that you can remember, right? So we have a theme that focuses on future leaders. And within the theme of future leaders, we're focusing on young people, and we're focusing on public governance. And Professor Alan Hirsch will talk about public governance when we talk about the Mandela School. But in terms of young people, we're focusing on young scholars as well as our students. We're asking ourselves, who will be the leading scholars in this university in the next 5 to 10 years? And so we started our Young Scholars program, identifying academics who are 35 years and below, who have already been identified as future leading scholars. In this country, we have a rating program, a rating system where individual researchers are rated, they submit their credentials and they can get rated. And we've got 16 young people across the country who are identified as future leading scholars in their fields, and 8 of them are at UCT. Out of the 16, there are 6 women, and 5 of the women are at UCT. Out of the 16, there are black scholars, 2 black scholars, and all of them are at UCT. We are very fortunate at UCT to have this caliber of scholarship, and so our future looks great. But we realize that if we don't focus as a country on these future leading scholars, we will lose them, because actually they can go anywhere in the world. They'll get a red carpet. So we as a university, we're saying we've got half of them at UCT, and so we've crafted a separate program to make sure that we can keep them at UCT. And so that's the start of our leading scholars, future scholars program, where we work with them. They are in different disciplines: archaeology, oceanography, anthropology, many different areas that they are in. We're also working with our students, focusing on entrepreneurship, because we realize that it's important that our students don't only see themselves as people who should get jobs, but they should also become entrepreneurial in their thinking. And some of them, beyond thinking entrepreneurially, will become leading entrepreneurs in our world. And so we're working with the private sector on student entrepreneurship programs. Of course, our Career Services Center has been doing that. But we've also focused on programs that are also student-led, and they can lead to students being mentored beyond just doing small projects in the university or winning a prize. We have student leadership programs that are new that we're working with student affairs on. But in terms of public governance, and Professor Alan Hirsch will talk about this in detail, we've been having here at UCT the Graduate School of Public Policy and Development. Did I get that right? What? Development Policy and Practice. It has been historically the Graduate School of Development Policy and Practice. That's what we've had in the past. And in July 2018, June, July 2018, we decided last year to relaunch the school as the Nelson Mandela School of Public Governance and Policy. Did I get that right? Alan will say it right. This Nelson Mandela School is a collaboration with the Nelson Mandela Foundation. And it's because we felt that it's important to relaunch the school that way, given its history of success. But also as a university, recognizing that it doesn't matter how many good policies we have as a country. It doesn't matter. You can have the best policies in the land, but you cannot do anything if you do not have a competent, ethical, and informed governance. And we need that in this continent. And we, as the leading university on the continent, are best placed to do it. And we worked with the Nelson Mandela Foundation because we want the values that Mandela stood for to be foregrounded, to be grown, to be nurtured. It's very easy to forget as young people focus on critiquing the Mandela Project. It's very easy to forget what he stood for, what brought us here, what made us the country that we are, what brought the hope in us when there was nothing to hope for. And it's the values of Mandela. And Alan will talk to that just now when I invite him. We do all of these things, and the second theme is a futures thinking. And that's because we live in a changing world. We've got the challenges of the past as a country. We've got those challenges of the past showing up in our present. And it's very easy to get caught up in those challenges and how they manifest in the present. But the world is not waiting for us to get sorted. It's changing. The fourth industrial revolution is here. And the question is for us, what is it? How is it that what we do will change as a result of the rapid changes that are happening in the world? And the rapid changes that are happening in the world, it's not just the technology and so on. I always say to people, said to colleagues when we met with Vice-Chancellors in Davos, that it's not just the fact that technology is advancing. Our young people are changing. Our young people are exposed to much that young people of 6 years ago were not exposed to. They live online. They know more about what the lecturer, the professor is coming to teach before the professor teaches it. And they've got more questions than the lecturer or the professor can imagine. Because knowledge is so accessible. And so now we've got to think about, what do you teach them? There's knowledge, of course. Some of it is dodgy. Some of it is what the professor is going to be teaching. And so the world is changing. Technology, access to knowledge, Generation C, global migration, there's movements of people. It's much more now than it's ever been before. And so we focusing on futures, how it changes what we do and how we do it, our future students, and we getting ourselves ready as a university for the future student who's at grade 9 right now or grade 10 and will be with us soon in our doors and will find perhaps some of what we do not suitable for them. We know that there are many places in the world where the formal and traditional programs will still be necessary. But we also know that there's demand for other kinds of programs. And so we are collaborating with some of the universities where you are placed about lifelong learning, about the future of higher education, future programs, online learning, and so on and so forth, as we gear ourselves for the future. Finally, in terms of our theme, is inclusive futures. As a university, we, as I talked about transformation, we want to be inclusive. And so as we think about our future, the challenges of the past, the present, all the contestations, we've asked ourselves, how do we deal with this? And it's about being inclusive. And so in terms of being inclusive, under the theme of being inclusive, we're focusing on the poor. We are in a continent where the majority of poor people in the world are located, here on the African continent. As a leading university on the continent, we have to ask ourselves, what makes us good for the continent? And it's our scholarship. And so we've launched so far 2 centers of excellence, and we're looking at the third, Center of Excellence on Poverty and Inequality Research, the Center of Excellence on Climate and Development, and the third one is Center of Excellence on Poverty-Related Diseases. We've got strengths in all these 3 areas. What we're doing is bringing them together, institutionalizing them, growing them, foregrounding them, and getting into partnerships with other universities in the continent to drive the agenda. The 2 centers of excellence that we've joined, that we've launched, Center of Excellence on Climate and Development, as well as Center of Excellence on Inequalities Research. We're collaborating with the different universities on the continent under the African Universities Research Alliance. And that's in progress. So in short, this is briefly what we as the new leadership are doing to secure a sustainable future, not only for UCT, but for our society and our world. We're honing in on the Mandela School because Nelson Mandela is an icon. Led us, not only as a country, but as the world. And we thought on this morning where we have you here in the audience, it's important to share with you, because as we launched this school, there are huge opportunities. We've got a great track record. There are huge opportunities for you to collaborate, for you to mobilize or work with us on mobilizing resources to make sure that the legacy of Mandela is not just only the legacy of Mandela is held up, but it actually influences what we become as a continent and as a world. And Professor Alan Hirsch will talk about it just now. Thank you very much.